One of the most annoying things I've heard growing up is that you'll stop playing video games when you're an adult. Little me vowed to never let that happen, and for the majority of my life so far, it looked like I was making good on that promise. Even when life got busy, schoolwork, life-changing exams, internships, playing even just for a little bit felt like rays of sunshine on a cloudy day. Assuming you like sunshine, but you get what I mean. But at some point, the sunshine just stopped. And with it, I stopped playing games too for quite a while. I remember lamenting to a friend, saying, "I don't really play games much anymore. It's like I've lost the ability to enjoy them." And his response was, "Well, that's normal. Tons of my friends have stopped playing games too." But not playing games wasn't really the problem to me. The problem was it felt so weird not being able to enjoy games anymore. Games have objectively been a big part of my life growing up, and with how I was absolutely starving for some fun in my life at that point in time, it was so confusing having the obvious answer not work anymore. Had I changed? Were those people that told me this would happen right? Fast forward, and I'm happy to share that my love and enjoyment for games has returned. Reflecting on that, I wanted to share some of the things that helped me. So hopefully, if you're experiencing something similar, maybe a few of these points can help you enjoy games again too. The first thing I changed was the kinds of games I was playing. In the past, I played a lot of online multiplayer games like Dota and Valorant, so I thought that those were the kinds of games I would enjoy coming back to. But to my surprise, they just didn't feel the same anymore. I don't think it was just my taste in games that had changed. Objectively, it was my life overall that had. I started working full-time in a time-consuming job that wasn't always predictable in terms of hours. Many days were just waking up, going to work, and getting to sleep, rinse and repeat, with work even bleeding into the weekends at times. With a draining job, I didn't have the mental capacity to deal with toxic lobbies, and my schedule felt completely out of sync with my friends, who now lived in different time zones with their own work schedules. It was also hard to keep up with patches and new content, which made me feel like I could never really hit my stride anymore. Thinking on that, I decided to try playing more single-player games, ones that would be waiting for me whenever I was free, for whatever amount of time I was free. Though I did enjoy the social aspects and adrenaline from some of the games I used to play, I found that games with stronger simulation elements helped pull me out of my work mindset and offered some healthy escapism at times. Along with different types of games, I had to learn to invest myself in more complex games again. I know it sounds counterintuitive, that with a busy life, it helps to play games with some complexity, but hear me out. At some point, since I had gotten so busy, I defaulted to only playing mobile games. The kind of mobile games that you play in the car on the way to work, while waiting for people running late, you know the kind. Don't get me wrong, there is a place for these kinds of games, but it's no wonder I didn't feel like I was enjoying games anymore. I was basically comparing my enjoyment of Monster Hunter World to Candy Crush. I get where I was coming from. Learning new mechanics seemed daunting with a busy schedule, but I needed to reckon with the fact that, at least for me, games don't magically inject me with dopamine. I was focusing on what the games were doing wrong, while ignoring my part in the equation. The solution was to let myself get invested in games again, but in investments that would pay off. This meant learning to play games that I could see myself playing for a proportionally long time. For example, I knew nothing about D&D, so when I started playing Baldur's Gate 3, even the easiest mode felt super hard. So needless to say, I was not enjoying myself. So what did I do? After playing around a little in the game, I decided to watch a beginner's tutorial on YouTube. The tutorial was over an hour long, but it was definitely worth it in comparison to my now 200 hours of playtime, which is only increasing. After getting the absolute basics down, things were going a lot smoother, and I surprisingly felt very satisfied slowly learning more and more, and building more mastery over the game. Right now I'm halfway through a balanced campaign, after completing my first one in Explorer. And after this, I'm actually excited to try out Tactician, along with some of the different races and classes. Besides changing the kinds of games I was playing, I also had to change my mindset about my play sessions. This might be a no-brainer, but it was hard to relax when I knew I had a bunch of different things that needed doing in the background, be it work, chores, or even personal projects and other hobbies. The advice you've probably heard is that you should get all those done before playing, right? But sometimes that's impossible. Sure, I could wash the dishes real quick, but if editing a finished video is on my to-do list, it would be days, weeks even, before I'd be able to play guilt-free. I found that the solution for me was to split up the larger to-do items into smaller milestones, ones that I could reasonably complete day by day. For example, if I was working on a video, I'd record the voiceover for one day and compile and edit the audio for the next, in balance with my other obligations. That way, when it was time to relax, I could feel comfortable knowing I'd already accomplished what I set out to do. So now you've booted up whatever it is you wanted to play, but one trap I found myself falling into was trying to rush through everything. For example, in my first Baldur's Gate 3 campaign, whenever I reach an obstacle, I'd immediately take a peek at a walkthrough. Part of it was me trying to learn the confines of what was possible, since the game was new to me, and we were under the threat of turning into purple calamari people any day now. But when I was obsessively opening my quest log, trying to move all the bullet points into the completed section, yeah, my you gotta be productive brain was intruding. This one mostly resolved itself when I realized I was being silly. After all, I wasn't supposed to be playing games to get them done like a chore. Just realizing that helped take some of the pressure off. That isn't to say I could get in the zone all the time. There are still some nights where I just can't get into it. And when that happens, I think it's best to put the game down and try again tomorrow. I know it can be a bummer, having finally found the time, clearing your to-dos, only to have the session feel like a disappointment. But sometimes we're just not in the mood, or we're too drained from a particularly tiring day. Maybe try playing something else, or engage in a more passive hobby like watching Netflix for the night. After all, you've earned the break, and there's no need to let the disappointment turn into frustration, or even worse, burnout, because you convince yourself, well, I guess if I'm not gonna play, I should just get back to being productive. Relax in whatever way works for you at the moment. It doesn't have to be games. So those are the 5 things that helped me enjoy playing games again. I want to close things off by saying, even though I want to keep playing games, and I sincerely hope some of these tips can help you, it's okay if playing games genuinely doesn't fit into your life anymore. Maybe you've discovered some new hobbies, passions, and have people in your life that you better connect with by doing other things. Whatever it may be, I hope you find something that makes life more enjoyable, even on the cloudiest of days. That's all. Thanks for watching.